is already engineered. So we do a lot of public work, do a lot of commercial industrial work. So most of that aspect of construction that we're involved in is already engineered, but that doesn't mean your job's done. You also have to, 1A, figure it out by looking at wiring diagrams and blueprints and understanding blueprints, being able to read them and build a building, whether it's new construction from the ground up or renovations of existing structures. And you also have to make sure what the engineer's putting down on paper makes sense. Because sometimes people, they're human, they make errors, they make mistakes. So they call now through the industry, what they've started doing is an RFI, which is a request for information. So if there's something that doesn't quite add up or doesn't make sense to you, ask a question. And that's what I've learned out of 25 years of doing it. Don't feel like you're in an odd situation to ask the question. It doesn't matter how simple or how difficult the question might be, ask the question or ask what their intent was or what their purpose of the design was. It'll help you, 1, in designing it, and 2, at the end of the project, you didn't assume one thing and he was thinking on another thing as far as the end product, making sure the end product is what the owner wants and what the engineer wants. Electrical field out of other trades. I think a trade in general, out of all the trades, they're good. I think electrical maybe I'm a little biased, but I think it gives you the most flexibility of direction to head. There's multiple different aspects to the electrical trade. You can get into residential wiring. You have commercial, industrial, which what I would consider commercial is schools, big buildings. Industrial would be industry. And then there's offshoots of that, which can be into like electronic motor controls and stuff like that, where you're dealing with industry and conveyors and motors and manufacturing plants as far as concrete plants and other avenues that way. And electronics is something I don't know a whole lot about. We've touched into it a little bit with motor controls, with PLCs, which is a programmable controllers. It's essentially a computer that tells, gates to open and close or contacts to open and close. That's a little bit, and like I said, you have different offshoots to go different directions. So in that aspect of it, when you get into the trade, you have a lot of directions you can head. There's so many different directions you can go, from either building wiring out to even working for a utility, like even for a borough utility with PP&L, where you're actually doing line construction, which is high voltage work. So there's a lot of different avenues that you can go, and sometimes the job tasks that you do don't necessarily apply to electrical either. I was just spent the last week up in New York. I set 17 poles, utility poles, on a campground, and what they were building was a climbing tower and zip lines and stuff, and utilizing our equipment and utility poles to do something else. So it's kind of in the field that you're in, it can take you in different directions. So outside of that, I don't know if you guys have any other questions relating to what you're studying or what you're doing. I mean, I could talk a little bit more about construction and the industry. So I don't know if you guys have any questions right off the bat. Otherwise, I could keep rambling on. But if there was anything you guys are studying now that you have questions about, or anything of that nature. Okay, I can continue. Recommendations that I can give you if you're starting out in the trade or want to start out in the trade, whether you're in high school or college, is work summers if you can. Try and get in with a contractor and work over the summer months. It will help you, understand maybe what you want to get into or what you like or dislike about the trade before you make a final decision. It's a little tough when you come out of high school to say, hey, this is what I want to do. I was fortunate enough for myself to be involved in a family business, so kind of my future was kind of written. Wasn't slated in stone. I didn't have to do it, but obviously in some small way it was kind of, I was supposed to do it.
Did you know when you were graduating high school you'd be in it this long? Like, was that your intent, or did you intend to move somewhere within the industry? Or you didn't have a plan, you were at least going to start there?
Yeah, like as far as where I'm at because of the background of the business, I mean, moving from the field, which I'm still in the field now, I'm kind of partially getting between the field and the office work. And those are avenues. Then also if you get into the trade, any trade, it doesn't matter if you're plumbing, mechanical, or electrical, there's other skills that go along with it. So now that I've basically been in the field 25 years, you end up getting into, or potentially getting into, management positions where you can go into the office and you become a project manager, an estimator, or there's a lot of variables that could come into play. So my roles right now at this point, I kind of bounce around job to job, making sure that the jobs are functioning. If people need certain things, I make sure they get them. Office duties would be estimating and project management and stuff like that. And being that it's a family business, so then I have on the business end of it, you have books and billing and aspects like that. Recommendations as far as being in the field, you definitely want to plan an exit strategy out of maybe the construction field. Generally...
What does he mean by exit strategy? How would you guys define exit strategy?
Like a secondary, like a
Why?
backup plan.
Why? Not because you don't like it necessarily.
You're
In
on the right.
construction, why construction would you need kind of a second option?
Because it's not your.
Maybe not year round, that would be
What if
perfect.
there's no work?
That's true. You always want that backup. Later in your career, why would you want a backup?
Get old, you can't do it.
There you go.
There you
That's,
go.
that's exactly it. As you get older, one, your physical conditioning, your physical strengths will be less. Not to say that you can't stay in construction, but fortunately or unfortunately, if you stay in construction long enough, you probably will have an injury at some point of some kind. Now, hopefully it's minor, hopefully not major, whether it's a back and neck, broken bones or stitches and stuff like that. And hopefully it's not career ending. And that's why I say, try and plan an exit strategy, not so much exiting the trade or the construction as a whole, but moving into a different responsibility, taking yourself out of the field so when you are 40, 50, 60 years old, that you're not out there trying to twist wires together or whatever else, but moving yourself into a position as far as within the company, maybe within the office, as far as estimating, as far as project management, so you're still tangibly involved in that construction aspect, but you're not actually the one out there, lifting, moving, installing stuff. That's why I say plan an exit strategy. Just for your longevity as far as physical health is probably the best thing to do, and have that in your head, and we plan that. Now, whether it takes 10 years, 15 years to get there, wherever you feel comfortable at that point in time to get out of that industry. And you can go into sales, as far as product sales, as far as the products that you've been dealing with over the last 25 years, so you know that hurdle already. So you can move yourself into a sales position at a electrical distributor, or wherever you want to take it. Into building maintenance sometimes is a little bit tiered down from construction, because a lot of times you get like your staff here at the Effort High School, they have electricians, they have plumbers, they have HVAC guys, and a lot of those people that are in that position now were people that formerly were in construction. And districts and places like that, whether it's a manufacturing facility or a school district or business like that, they're looking for those people because they already know they have the training and they know what's going on, so it's an easy transition when someone retires or out of that position, because usually a lot of times when maintenance personnel gets into that position, it's a transition from construction to maintenance, and then they're going from that point, then generally they retire. So then sometimes maintenance positions don't open up as frequently, so you might ask, if that's the field you want to end up in, sometimes you might want to start in construction and then work to get into a maintenance position at, like I said, various schools or manufacturing facilities all are involved in that.